Yeah, we're live, everybody. Welcome to the open newsroom.
What's up? Yeah, so this is a dry run of something that I did at the video store last Thursday. For those of you who don't know, starting something called the Worcester Community Media Foundation, which is getting run out of Rewind Video Store. And the foundation is sort of an effort to build out Worcester Sox and this Twitch stream and all the cool, independent local journalism work we do into an institution that can get grant funding and stuff. And I want to do a bunch of community events. So the first thing that I wanted to do was regular open newsroom events. The way that this works is that it's just a standard newspaper pitch meeting, but open to the public. And when we did it on Thursday at the store, we had like 10 people come down. It was really cool. We talked about some stories that I'm working on, and we talked about some stories that people brought to the table, and I took good notes and got a bunch of good leads from it. So it's a cool thing, and it's something that I want to do sort of monthly. Doing it on Twitch is an experiment for sure. Yeah, Brian just shared in the link this Google Doc. I have it set to anyone can edit it, and it's public. So I'm going to be working off of it sort of like an agenda, but also anybody who just wants to like chuck in a story idea or a suggestion or anything like that can feel free to just throw it right in the doc. Here, let me pull that document up.
Who's your favorite news anchor of all time?
I don't really know. Tucker Carlson, probably.
They have to be real people?
No, they can be fake.
I mean, my entire childhood was dominated by WKRP in Cincinnati, so that's everything I know about the news business.
That's
okay.
about it.
Be Les Nessman then, right?
This is a good place to start because I didn't really consider that. Pitch meeting, newspapers, any news organization does them pretty much weekly, where everyone checks in with each other and brings story ideas that they're working on, and the group sort of workshops those story ideas. That's something that we did at Worcester Magazine, which was always awful, frankly, just because of who was there. But it was where I learned how to do it. I learned how to do it there in Metro West Daily News, Milford Daily News. And it's just a way for everyone to sort of pitch in ideas and workshop stories. And I want to do that just with the community in general. So in an in-person meeting, it's extremely intuitive how this works. In Twitch, it's kind of weird. So what we have here, and the link is in the chat, is I can probably make this a little bigger. I don't know if that actually works to make it bigger, but oh wait, I was making the wrong screen bigger. I'm sorry. Un segundo.
There we go.
This is a very fuck it, we're doing it live type of deal. And we are just sort of figuring out if this is something that could even happen on Twitch. So okay, so Epic Stratton kicking it off with a good sort of first topic. How about the responses to the speed limit changes at the city info meeting? Epic, a little bit more on what you mean by that. I'm not familiar with what the responses were. Were they bad, grotesque? Were they psychotic?
Yeah, the worst you've ever seen.
Was it like a what's his face, Wayne Griffin type situation?
Someone drove their monster truck through the meeting at a very high rate of speed.
Dude, that'd be awesome.
They were in town,
So
and everyone was there.
Epic, not to put you on the spot, but this would be a perfect situation to test out our call-in line.
Yes, absolutely.
If you want to do that, I'm going to post it in here yet again. Oh, yeah. But so fuck. All right. So I have some ideas that I want to talk to you about, as you can see on the screen here. This one, my buddies in the stream will be familiar with because I rage texted the group chat like 2 a.m. about it. I was writing last night, and man, that's an interesting one. But I don't want to quite get into that one just yet. But yeah, I don't know. Doing this on Twitch is kind of weird. But
we got to find our flow. But I think it's I think we'll find it. It's good.
Yeah. I think that everyone should feel encouraged to call in, write in the document, and also send links and stuff. Because that's super. What I'm going to do as we're doing this, and I'll just keep the screen up because why not, is I'm just going to take rough notes on everything, get links in, and make sure that we keep track of everything that we talked about. And in this place, in this section right here, just chuck in anything you think is cool.
And leave your handle there as well, not just your name, or use your handle instead of your name. What are the best way to contact you?
Anything to follow up.
Yeah.
That would be great.
If you have links to stories that you've seen that you think might have a bearing on Worcester, a connection. Oh, we got our first call coming in.
Oh, this is exciting.
Eric Stratton, you're on the air. Can you hear me? Hold on. Eric, can you hear us? He hung up already.
Coward, call back.
Yeah, this might be a me problem. I'm still working on the Google Voice.
Could just be randos from YouTube calling in too, which could also be great.
It said Eric at the top of it. Unless, maybe we're very quickly getting people deep faking Eric's phone number.
Oh,
which actually be exciting. Yeah. I'm trying to figure out why.
Did you send a voicemail or you were sent directly to voicemail?
Did it do that to you, Bill? I mean, Brendan, when you called?
It did not.
Like I said, people, we are very much feeling this out right now. This is not intended to be a production. It's more an experiment in whether you can do a newsroom pitch meeting that's open to the public on Twitch. I would venture to guess that if we're not the first people to try to do this, then we're in at least the top 5 first people that have tried to do this.
100%.
Thank you for the support. Oh, also, the book club, a ton of signups. I just checked, and we have 37 people signed up to do the book club. That's crazy.
Amazing.
That is so awesome. I was hoping for 10, so this is awesome. I can't wait to get a bunch of people reading this book. I can't wait to figure out how to get in a digital copy that people can read because the book's almost is impossible to find. But if you want to sign up for the book club, which will be starting, probably about a month out at least, because we have some stuff to figure out. But you got to punch your email into this form and get on the list, because I'm basically just going to do a big BCC group email about that to get it going. But I'm really excited for that because this book kicks fucking ass. Brian or Brendan, have you ever read this book? 8 Hours
No.
for What We Will?
No, not yet.
This guy right here.
Listen to this. We got Brendan calling right now just to test the system. Brendan, is it working? It went right. It goes right to voicemail when I answer it. I can't figure out what the problem is. I can hear the voicemail on my end. I'm gonna back out for a minute. I'm gonna do some troubleshooting, guys. I'll be right back.
Okay, so here's an idea. Oh well, I'm totally content to figure this out on air. I think that everyone, all our core Worcester Commenters Union folks are going to be helpful. I want to hear some feedback on how you think that this sort of idea could go better. But while Brian is figuring that out, I am going to start doing a pitch that you would do at a newspaper pitch meeting. Starting with the People's History of I-290, which is a very exciting sort of large project that I hope to get done this year, and actually got Worcester Arts Council funding to do. And part of that funding is research assistance. So I will be blasting that out to the community in a little while to try to get. I'd love to get 2 really good research assistants to help me with this project. It's mostly going to be archival research, but there might be some other stuff as well. But so People's History of I-290, what do I mean by that? I want to put together a big package of either stories or a narrative podcast, like the Big Dig thing that what was it? WBUR did the Big Dig podcast. But looking at the decisions made on where to cite 290, who made those decisions, why they made those decisions, and who was impacted. Because the loose version of the story, the one that everyone sort of knows, is that they just chose every black neighborhood in the city to put the highway through. And from an urban theory, urban design, just good city building perspective, that was like the nail in the coffin for Worcester that continues to reverberate to this day. What could have been a really dense and vibrant urban core was just completely shattered by the local officials trying to get 2 birds stoned at once and get rid of the poor people while spending their federal highway infrastructure dollars. So I want to dig into who those people were, why they made those decisions, how they made those decisions, what the discourse was like at the time. And also, this is going to involve some oral history, which I am really excited to do. I'm sure that there are still some people around that lived in those neighborhoods that are alive and in the area. And I don't quite know yet how to access those people, but it would be so valuable to put together a library of just getting a microphone in front of those people and just being like, tell me everything you remember about that time, right?
Yeah, and I mean, I'm sure you'd find some difficulty, Bill, in tracking down people who were there when the highway went in, the demo started. But the families, there are lots of them still around, and it's that is a story you and I've discussed has been conveniently scrubbed, whitewashed, if you will, from our local history. Everyone knows it, just nobody wants to talk about
it. Main South Bomb, exactly where I was going with that. Yeah, this isn't just going to be archival. I mean, in an ideal world, I find 2 or 3 real star interviews of people who were displaced by the highway project and remember it and can speak about it, cogently. I am not going to put all my eggs in that basket, though. I think that there's many different ways to do this, and you have to sort of gather all of the work before you know what you have. I'm also super interested to sort of do a political history or like a political connection sketch between the people in charge of making that decision then and the people in charge now of making our urban renewal decisions, like everyone who sits on the Worcester Redevelopment Authority. Oh, that's awesome. Yes. So this is exactly the kind of feedback that is great from people that are watching. I'm just gonna go the village because that's totally like a first call to make. Just start reaching out, and I feel like just once I start making phone calls on that, it won't be very hard to find the sort of people that I'm looking for. At the last open newsroom, someone had the really good idea of taking out an ad in like the Telegram or in like the cable access or whatever, at like a call out for like, hey, were you around when 290 went in? We want to hear from you, sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like that might help us find some people that we wouldn't find otherwise. I don't know how much it costs to run an ad in the Telegram these days, but I'm sure it's not that expensive.
Could run it on a city bus too for dirt cheap.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Weren't we talking about doing that one time?
Yeah, because I mean, you can get a full wrap for a city bus for like it's like $1,200, but they have so few advertisers. It's not like they take it down when your ad runs out because they have someone else queued up. They just let it ride. So get that wrap on the bus. You could be running for years without anybody noticing.
Right. Oh, that was a funny news item. Anyone catch that? They banned a pro-Palestine ad from running on the bus.
No, locally.
Somebody tried to submit a pro-Palestine ad to the Worcester RTA. I don't know why I said it like that. The WRTA, and they just changed their policy to be like no political signs after that. Suggesting ideas makes you nervous, but I just put one in the doc. That is awesome. Okay, so this is a really thick thing. Thank you, George Seption. That was great. That I don't think I've written about that much. Oh wait, can you see this? Oh, okay. Story highlighting the instances of hostile architecture around the city and how it's impacted people, like the new lighting at the underpass by the library. There's so much hostile architecture in Worcester. Like, I mean, the obvious one that always sort of comes up is like the benches that you make them so people can't lay down.
Right.
And the like little studs that they put on ledges so people can't skateboard on them.
Yeah, I mean, at least they give us fancy ones that are nice brass stars in Worcester downtown, so people think they look nice, not that they're there to keep skateboarders away.
Right. So, George Seption, the lighting at the underpass, you're talking about the Green Street one, right? Like going into Polar Park, or is that a different? Yeah. That was really cool because they sort of like pink washed it. Like they like did the LGBT colors at one point, I think. But like the lighting was not put there to make for a nice aesthetic. It was like to make people feel uncomfortable being there. Yeah.
I know there's a lot of people in Worcester that would get mad at me for suggesting this, but can you please, if you do that, can you please include brutalist architecture in all of its forms as something that is hostile to humanity?
Oh, don't you dare talk shit about brutalist architecture. Boston City Hall, amazing. That library at Clark. Well, the library at Clark is like maybe one example of actually good brutalist architecture, but yeah, it's really bad. The Worcester police station is the funniest piece of brutalist architecture. It's just so lazy. It's
Yeah.
like, yeah, we're gonna do a riff on the theme here where we just make it as boring as possible. And now it's just so hideously ugly.
That's probably the one building in the city that, like, if somebody pitched the idea of an upgrade, like, I wouldn't get in the way at all just to see that awfulness go around. And I'd also like to see what would happen to the local police department if you offered them more sunlight.
Yeah, right.
They'd
They
probably
might
way
improve
more
their-
chipper.
Might improve their disposition.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I
George
might have it
Seption-
figured out.
Okay, cool. What was it? Just like, was there just like a setting that it was going straight to voicemail or something?
Yeah, it's just I mean, it's weird when you're doing it through the app, and I'm using a secondary email address, not my main Gmail. So I think that was part of the problem. I think I got it straightened out.
So I'm wondering if anybody else has any. I mean, I saw one of the comments in the chat here was that all of downtown is hostile architecture, and I think that's really interesting. It'd be nice to chuck some suggestions of other things that are hostile in here if anybody has any. I think that, like, even just like a very basic roundup of here's all the hostile architecture in downtown, and just like pictures and a quick riff on each one would be a story that people would really enjoy reading. Yeah. So once the foundation has money, the cool part of these meetings would be like, oh, that's a really interesting idea. I'm going to follow up with you, and I have a few $100s for you to just do it. And we'll help you get it placed somewhere. We want to build up a freelance fund where we can just pay people directly and easily for doing journalism in Worcester, and either placing it in Worcester Sucks or a vertical that we create for the foundation, or like if it makes sense for the Worcester Business Journal, get it placed in there. If it makes sense for the Telegram or Worcester Magazine. And then just be like, this story is a product of the Worcester Community Media Foundation. So in an ideal world, I could be like actually assigning stories out of this meeting, but we don't have that money yet. So that is a moot point right now. Oh yeah, nowhere to sit at Union Station is great.
It's just a big cavern, and even on the few benches that are there, you're right next to the cops.
Yeah, right. The police substation they put in there. Great. Yeah, that's a great suggestion.
It's also not a big deal because there's no trains ever at Union Station, so there's no reason to be there.
Right.
Yeah, that's another problem. It's so crazy that they cut the one train that gets you to Boston in an hour. Like, they're just like, this isn't worth it anymore. And like the whole pitch for the entire downtown is you can work in Boston and live in Worcester. And it's like, okay, now you have a 2-hour commute each way. Blocked sidewalk curbs.
Curb cuts.
I don't know. I'm stupid and having a hard time visualizing what this means.
Like the curb cuts that you would use for, like, say, a wheelchair, but in that case, there's utilities. Like the curb cut is there, but there are utilities that keep it from being useful.
Right. Yeah.
They did what They did what the ADA said they had to do, just not the way the ADA intended.
You know what's so? No, go ahead, Brennan.
Some of that when it comes to hostile architecture too, especially when it when you're referring to things like curb cuts and or just sidewalks, benches, and what have you. I mean, the city has its whole plan for whatever its now next plan there, which is a big part of that is removing our parking overlays and zoning requirements and whatnot. I feel like one of the things that the city hasn't thought through a lot is you remove parking, people will make do, but not with everything being like a destination, right? Like you need midpoints along the way. Like walking down Main Street needs to be a entirely entertaining activity for it to make sense the way they want to. Like the average person isn't going to walk a mile from a central parking location to their destination unless there's things to keep them busy along the way. And when you take into account all the ways that we made hanging out unfriendly in spaces, like we kind of have to, we might have to actually nuke Worcester from orbit and build from scratch just to get to where we hope to be, which is being less reliant on destination-based parking, but still expecting people to move around the city by foot.
That's such a good point. It's like we've been so hostile and antagonistic to pedestrians for so long.
Yeah.
And then we're like, why isn't Worcester an 18-hour downtown, right? It's like, oh, because
hanging out here.
You made it suck on purpose because you didn't like who was hanging out down there. Yeah. Yeah, but that was a great suggestion, Georgeception. Yeah, the city gaslights so much about downtown. And one of my big overarching theories about Worcester is that the city fucked itself so hard with 290 and ruined the downtown for being like a real actual city downtown. So now all of the silver bullet projects after 290 in the urban core, seeing it through that lens and seeing how they all fail to live up to their promises, but are all oriented towards getting cars off of the highway into downtown, is very interesting. It's like we have not been able to reconcile this fundamental disastrous decision we made in the 60s.
Yeah.
And have just been trying to, like, we just talk about downtown and projects in the downtown like each one is a panacea. And none of it is good urbanism at all. I mean, like the DCU Center is crazy to me. That's like 5 blocks of what should be, and probably previously was, like dense mixed use urban area. And now it's just something that is just a monolith that you have to walk around in like this liminal space that sucks to get from one part of the downtown to the other. And it'll take a long time to undo that if we ever get there. I mean, I read the Now Next plan and I thought it was pretty good.
Yeah.
I thought that there were a lot of ideas in there that were definitely not the product of Worcester people, but the consultants that were hired. But like, we kind of need that. We don't consider what other cities are doing at fucking all. And that's a shame, I think. Which is what I want to get to with this Chattanooga one. Because that's crazy. But anyway, when I get to do the People's History of 290, I'm going to be putting up for research assistants. I hope that there's probably some people in the chat right now that would be really good fits for that. Just combing through the archives of the Telegram to get like the good stories that would complement the piece is the hard part, I think. But the oral history project is also going to be crazy. I can't wait to do that. I love talking to old people. It's cool.
Oh yeah, without a doubt. And one of the wild things too, Miss Pitch, is God, I see Miss Minutes and I shudder every time I see this avatar. We insist for cost savings measures. Most of the neighborhoods, once you get out of downtown, are all tar sidewalks or asphalt sidewalks instead of concrete. So even if they exist, and in theory they're wide enough, or what have you, give it 10 years, and the neighboring tree is going to make them unpassable. It's it's one of those things that we just don't take walking seriously at all. I mean, we take walking so unseriously that Gary Rosen at one point in time actually tried to pitch rubber sidewalks in Worcester as a
Oh, yeah. That's one of the go-to examples to just point out how unserious the Worcester City Council is.
Yeah.
Is the rubber sidewalks thing. It's so cool. Yeah, the Worcester History Museum definitely. Oh, I'll pull that up. The Worcester History Museum will definitely have photos. I can't wait. I actually sent what's his name, Bill Wallace, an email months ago when I first started thinking about this 290 project, and he never got back to me. So I hope there's not some weird beef there that's gonna make that relationship hard. I've never met him before, but I've heard he's a really nice guy. He probably just was busy. So we'll see. What do we have here? Hostile architecture. The benches at Green Hill Park have dividers. George, if you just want to chuck that link in the doc, that would be great. That's the document is that's what that kind of stuff is for. Screenshots, links, just all the sort of loose ends that are a good head start when you're thinking about a reporting project. Hold on, sorry, I got something to deal with here.
Yenny, I'm familiar with the replacing the like with like sidewalk portion there, but I haven't heard anyone suggest that they're actually getting rid of asphalt. Most of the conversations I've had with folks suggest that they're quietly looking forward to using more asphalt and not less, outside of super, super high traffic areas where they know it just won't last. I'm running this by myself now. I had no idea. Yeah, a giant pet peeve of mine.
About that.
No, it's fine. That's a giant pet peeve of mine with the sidewalks. Because it was when I owned Woburry down on Highland Street. They'd been doing a lot of sidewalk replacement, construction, and whatnot. And most of what they were doing was asphalt, because of the cost.
I should give a quick plug here that a lot of the business model of the Worcester Community Media Foundation relies on people signing up to become members of the Rewind Video Store. That gives you access to the store and rentals and all of that, and exclusives on events. And I post things there all the time. But really what that is helping us make the sort of operating costs of the foundation sustainable as we go out for grants. I'm going to try to go out for this 290 idea. I'm going to try to go out to the Pulitzer Center. They do a really cool sort of cohort of fellows that take on big projects, and it's sort of like a collaborative thing. And they have a lot of money to throw around. It's like up to $30,000. And I think this one would be a good fit because they seem kind of focused on cities right now and local journalism. So that would be sick. And then we'd really be cooking with gas. Then I'd really be tossing money at people to go to the library and pull clips. Let's see here. Oh, this is a fun one. So my friend Dan texted me this today that he's just super interested in the art world. He's always paying attention to this kind of stuff. And I had no idea that there was this sort of global movement of museums giving back historical pieces of art to Nigeria recently that were just outright stolen in the colonial era and the post-colonial era, like up to about the early 1920s. And
it was right through the 60s, Bill. Like, this is like the guy that gave Worcester our piece that you're going to talk about. He was alive in 2008 when he gifted it to Worcester.
Oh, Brendan, you know that story?
Well, I would know.
You know-
If you go to the, I followed up on the page that you shared. If you go to like the full web version, it gives the history of the donation and whatnot.
Oh, okay, cool. Yeah, so that's where I was going, is that Worcester has a piece that seems to me right now, I haven't really confirmed any of this yet, but this is what the Open Newsroom is all about. We're just workshopping ideas. Seems to me that the Worcester Art Museum has a piece that would 100% qualify as a stolen piece of Nigerian art that should be returned. I'm trying to find the link. Oh, it was just a screenshot. Okay, let me figure it. I'll just throw the screenshot in the chat. Fuck it.
You know, I'll get it up for you, Bill. I was looking at it earlier.
Right. Oh shit, that pasted in the wrong place. This seems like something that would qualify in this. So some of you know that the Worcester Art Museum has already had some stolen art scandals, but this is entirely different from those. And it's been, I guess, people at museums just being like, the right thing to do is to send it back. And people have just been sort of willingly sending this kind of stuff back to Nigeria. And what it's doing in Nigeria, which is really cool, is it's like facilitating this like new museum and new sort of art culture and art revolution in Nigeria, because they're getting so much stuff sent back to them.
Wow.
And it's really cool. And so this could be potentially a heartwarming Worcester story if it is indeed something that should be returned to Nigeria and the Worcester Art Museum returns it. It would, knowing what I know about the Worcester Art Museum, I'm not like 1,000% optimistic that they would be like, hell yeah, let's do something cool. And like, they might be a little stodgy about it, but hey, I don't know. So that's something that I just started working on today that I'm really stoked on, because it could be something cool, but it also could be nothing. I mean, like, it's possible that this is just not even the sort of stuff that is getting sent back to Nigeria, but we'll see.
Bill, one of the things that I thought was interesting.
Well, they've had other stuff too.
At the art museum?
Yeah, isn't there like a stained glass thing, like controversy?
Yeah. That's what I was talking about, is that it's like stolen stained glass from a church in France. Like the Worcester Art Museum didn't steal it, but they bought it from someone who stole it, or bought it from someone who bought it from someone who stole it, something like that. Yeah.
And they stole the Batman costume from Higgins Armory.
One of the things that was interesting while I was looking for this, Bill, I wanted to read up on it on the, here, I'll bring up the site for you. If you, here's the history of it, but the, if you go to the Worcester Art Museum's website and search for this and search for Nigeria, no results come up. You actually have to search for a mask for it to come up. Like, there's something in their tagging system that they're not even allowing people to search for Nigeria as a keyword in their search system.
Oh, interesting.
To bring this up. And it might be that it's just the title is all they have, but it would seem weird that they wouldn't include the artists. In this case, the artist name is Southwest Nigeria, wouldn't be included in the search terms either. But if you once you get here, you can see that there's a not insignificant amount of artifacts that they have, not from Nigeria in particular, but other areas that have in the past asked for stuff back.
Right.
None of these items are on display. They're all just in the collection.
Interesting. That's something that I was like, a question that I didn't have. Oh, so this is not on view.
Just stuff that they're stored in the basement alongside Batman.
That is so crazy. It's so crazy that they opened themselves up to this
And
by
definitely made
having
a
it on the internet, but not having it on view. Because like, if I just had to go to the museum and like walk around and look for stuff that's old from Nigeria, I wouldn't see this. But I just typed in Nigeria site worcester.emuseums.com or whatever. So I just used the Google search function to get it. But that's really interesting that the internal search function doesn't work for that. Hagen's Armory has a ton of weapons from Africa too, which I don't know really if that's the same thing, but it could be. JD, I think that's a great idea. I really want to get more into making videos and doing like YouTube essays. And, you know, as we've seen with my reel that I made about the book club, I'm pretty much like a genius with editing. I'm really, really good at it. So I'm kidding. It's so stupid. That video is the stupidest thing in the world.
No, it's incredible.
But
it's good editing. That is very good editing, dude. I'm not joking. It is very good editing.
No, it's fun to do. I don't know, I like it. And there's like I don't know if anybody follows Kyla Scanlon. She does a bunch of YouTube essays on the economy that are like 20 minutes long and super deep and have really good politics, and they're interesting. And I'd love to sort of try to do that kind of thing. System Nomad, welcome. We're doing an open newsroom event. Open newsroom for the Worcester Community Media Foundation. We're doing a Twitch version, sort of repeating what I did in the video store last week, and it's going well. We got some good suggestions going in the doc here, and a really good where am I? I have to scroll here. Audience suggestion here from George Seption to do a piece on hostile architecture. So, System and anyone else, if you want to chuck an idea in the document, there's the document. And we haven't had a call in yet. We're still waiting on Epic Stratton to call in and tell us about the, what does it say? Community reacts at city info meeting about speed limits, which should be awesome. Oh, speaking of that, I have a funny email. I hope no one steal my password or anything. I don't know if this is like a good thing to do or whatever. Actually, this is not. Let me just get the screenshot of the email because I don't want to out the person who sent it to me. Really flying by the seat of our pants here.
A lot of people blow themselves up when they screen share and have some flagrant tabs going. So I gotta give you credit, Bill. Your tab curation is very good right now.
Yeah, I don't do sketchy shit on the internet. So it's easy.
That makes one person in this room.
Dang, this is such an annoying. All right. Wayne Griffin has. It's so annoying in the email format because it doesn't. It's like written on like a Windows 95 and doesn't do line breaks. So I'm gonna post it in here. This is Wayne Griffin and his email, if anyone's looking to do something with that. Talking about the Worcester Now Next plan, ginning up controversy, as he often does. This is sort of like this is a peek inside the Crank Bad Faith Reaction Factory. He's sending this email to a bunch of people I don't know why it says redacted. That's awesome. Elimination of single-family zoning meeting tonight. What is he? He says some wild shit in here. In addition to the main thread woven throughout the report that single-family zoning is evil, wasteful, unfair, and must be effectively eliminated, there are other points that are taking dead aim at Worcester's west side. He's talking about how they have to add more housing, and that's terrible. And he goes, but wait, there's more. The plan wants to reduce our dependence on automobiles. The goal is for people to reduce overall car usage or forego vehicle ownership altogether. The city will work to encourage people to commute to work via bicycles or city buses. Can you imagine thousands of brave West Side citizens bravely pedaling their bikes to work in the cold winter months, dodging the non-believers and out-of-town commuters? That's such an insane sentence. I love this shit. Where is it? Any more fireworks in here? Nope. But that's just that's the sort of stuff. Hold on. That's the sort of stuff that has basically just been what we've expected of Worcester politics for a long time. As long as I've been reporting on it up until like a couple of years ago, it's like literally this is the only active person in local politics, and everyone else is just getting told to go fuck themselves. So we're making progress that this guy is constantly eating shit instead of just being the guy who gets to define the discourse. So that's good.
Right.
What a silly man.
System, this is a good point. We need so many more benches at bus stops. Like the bus stops are almost always just fucking brutal. You just have to like stand right next to people driving 50 miles an hour on a sidewalk where no one is walking to wait an hour and a half for the bus to come. It's just like it's unreal. I didn't know this until recently, but that makes so much sense that he used to be a city councilor. Like how have you been a public official in your life and you do that shit that he did with doxing a teenager and calling her a cop killer by association? Like you were on the city council and like
right.
You did that? That's amazing. Fucking crazy. All right. What else did I want to talk about today? Oh, yeah. Chattanooga.
Yeah, here we go.
Let's
get
Chattanooga.
nuts.
So what I've been working on this week is an explainer of the Supreme Court decision, the impending Supreme Court decision on homeless encampments and whether cities can effectively criminalize people for being homeless. And I felt like it would be good. I've referenced it so many times that I felt like it would be good to just try to do a story just on that, nothing about Worcester, and only using Worcester as like an example of how shit would have to change depending on how they rule. And I might as well just open up that story. Also, very funny, this doesn't out anybody, but the subject line of that email that got forwarded to me was, "Oh, Wayne, you putz."
What a schmuck.
So, where is it? Where is it? Okay, so nationally, homelessness is on the rise by 12%. There is one city, Chattanooga, Tennessee, where it dropped. What the fuck? I can't get it to stop right-clicking. Fuck. I'm really outing myself as a boomer here. Kid.
What in the world? Turn your mouse off. Turn it back on.
Bill, you probably clicked on something off screen, and it's reacting to that, dragging it over this overlay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Chattanooga, Tennessee saw a 49% drop in its homeless population from 2022 to present. Chattanooga, Tennessee has 182,000 people, making it, roughly the size of Worcester. Chattanooga, Tennessee, this is what really broke my brain, also is the city that did municipal broadband that Eric Batista used as an example for why we couldn't. But they are extremely profitable in doing it. And Eric just mentioned how much it cost them to get it up and running and not how much money they made off of it. And that is how the idea of municipal broadband in Worcester died. When he said that on the radio, it just fucking died. And this right here will read extremely familiar to everyone in Worcester that's been either following my work or just being a progressive that's talking about what we should do to help unhoused people in the city. In Chattanooga, Tennessee, they actually opened permanent supportive housing. They weren't just like, it's going to be a couple of years. They did eviction prevention work, and they had an impact response, which included a temporary sanctioned homeless encampment, increased emergency shelter capacity, and public restrooms. Those are the three things in Worcester that we just have said time and time again that we're just not going to fucking do. Like, these are the things that get voted down. But these are the things that made it work in Chattanooga. And it's like, if we just did what people like Atal are saying we should do, you could reduce your homeless population by 50% over 2 years. And instead, we're just throwing our hands up in the air and being like, how could we solve this problem? It's because people in the towns are coming and dumping off their drug addicts. It's like, it's insane. It really broke my brain last night. And this paragraph here, they put out a release that I found from June 2022 where they described how they went about taking down an encampment that was getting too large and too dangerous. And just compare this to the RMV encampment sweep that we saw a couple weeks ago. They spent 2 months relocating the encampment, and they got people over those 2 months carefully into permanent supportive housing. Some of them were moved to the sanctioned encampment, and the rest were just offered a new tent, and the city officials helped them find a new place to be that was not sanctioned or legal or and it's probably on either private or public property, because what other kind of property is there, right? But they and this is
Quantum property.
Like, this is so fucking different from what Worcester does. In Worcester, they maybe show up a week before the sweep happens, and they're like, hey, you need to go to Queen Street. And they're like, I don't want to go to Queen Street. That place is scary. And they're like, okay, well, you have to, or we're coming with a dumpster in a week. Right. Like that, it's just nightmares what we do. And if you refuse to leave when the dumpster comes, then you catch a trespassing charge. And just the way that they like talk about it down there is crazy. Like, can you imagine Eric Batista saying something like this? Like,
no,
I don't know.
No, dude, it's like, it's so that, like, when you said it broke your brain, it's exactly right, because it is so it is so unfathomable. All of this is so unfathomable from a lens of living in Worcester, especially in the last few years, and thinking that like no single person in the city government that's in any position to do anything about it, and effectively the body of city government has no, I don't even know if it's like ability to think about doing these things. Like there's no chance. There's no fucking chance that this would ever even be something
Right.
that they would consider. And we know that there are good people that work for the city, that work in City Hall, that see stuff like this, have seen this specifically, and would be totally on board, would be totally willing to do the work. And yet the ones who make the calls would just be like, I would fucking die. I would simply become vaporized if Eric Batista said anything that is contained in this.
Right. Like you'll remember a couple of council meetings ago when a couple of unhoused people showed up and spoke about the quality of life team, and they were like, they kind of harass us, and we play a game of cat and mouse across the city, and they are demeaning and treat us like shit. And the response to that from the majority of the city council and Eric Batista was like, how dare you insult the good name of Dan Cahill and his quality of life team. It was like Eric Batista, like when you go through and actually like disentangle his like word salad, he literally said that they were just lying. Like two unhoused people came and talked about their experiences, which is an incredibly brave thing to do.
Yep.
And the city manager just goes, that's all lies. He didn't say like what about it was a lie. He's just like, that was all lies.
Yeah.
Which is,
and how dare you?
And how dare you? A lot of how dare you.
Yeah.
But look at this. This is something that would never happen in Worcester. This is a release from the city. This isn't like a news article about it. This is the city saying studies show a direct correlation between rising housing prices and rising homelessness, particularly when wages do not keep pace. Mayor Tim Kelly has directed the city to undertake a number of initiatives to increase the supply and affordability of housing in the city. Okay, like you know, Mayor Joe Petty and Eric Batista will nominally say that affordable housing is a problem, but look at this. This year's budget includes $33 million of city money toward a $100 million plan to build affordable housing. Like, it's like, man, it's like crazy. It's crazy to see the difference. It's like, it really is between this and municipal broadband. Chattanooga is bizarro Worcester. And I've been talking with Chris Robarge about taking a field trip out there because they also have a minor league baseball team, which is like in the same.
They
circuit.
do. Yeah. And you know what? People love it.
Right.
Chattanooga I love Chattanooga. I've only been there. Yeah. One of my best friends lives there. He lives right outside of it in Hickson. And I like, that's why I talk about the muni broadband, like from experience, it works. It's good.
So you've seen muni broadband up close.
Yeah.
Did you get to use it, or?
I mean, not like to a crazy extent, but like I've seen.
What does it look like? I'm just like genuinely curious.
It's the same internet. They give you the same stuff. No,
I'm getting confused. I don't know. I was thinking about it weird.
It's just like it's the exact same setup really that the Charter is. It's just that they run it. You know, it's like the same thing as like Holden having like municipal like utilities.
Right.
It's set up the exact same way. They just don't have to fucking deal with National Grid. Like they actually, they're directly paying for their service in a more meaningful way. And even if it only works the same good, like the same at the same level, then at least you're paying more honestly for something. But here's the thing: it works better. Everything's better than Charter.
Right.
Everything's better than fucking Spectrum. And
like Charter has absolutely no mandate to make sure their quality is good.
No. And that's the thing. You talk about like the municipal thing. Like it just doesn't make me sense not to do it, because if it's not working for everybody, and everyone is pissed about our internet in this city all the time, it never fucking works right. It's costs way too much. Guess what? Your vote would count for something then, because we could get rid of the people that run the internet, the internet in Worcester. Like,
Right.
you have more direct access to making change, instead of hoping to vote for the right people that will turn down the next contract re-up for charter, which won't happen because they're probably being getting kickbacks for it. So
Right.
But it's literally a race to the bottom, in the sense that our contract with Charter is for cable services. The internet, which is what most people think of Charter providing, is just an accessory to the cable contract. And the cable contract was written at a time when nobody thought cable was actually going to work. So the burden was kind of put on Charter to prove their worth.
Right.
But because the contract is written that way, we're now beholden to Charter, in the sense that we have these regional monopolies and whatnot contractually that we just can't shake. It's really fucking abysmal.
Yeah.
And just the insult to injury. Sorry, Brian. The insult to injury that the city manager very lazily got out of having to say why he didn't want to do it, and just cited one of the places where it actually works as a reason why we can't, and faced no consequences for that whatsoever.
Right.
Crazy.
Yeah, he basically said we can't do this because they made too much money, without saying that.
Right. Absolutely insane.
That was never a part of the conversation when we talk about the cost of things. That was never a fucking part of the conversation for Polar Park. No one ever said oh, we can't do that, it'll cost too much, because that's not how they just refuse to frame it like that. It's because it's disingenuous framing. They're not paying out money to do it. It's just that it's so frustrating.
There's a dark line of inquiry there, where it's maybe the hesitancy to spend money on something like municipal broadband and say it's an investment is if you do that and you show that you can actually make direct investments, then how the hell are you going to sell something like Polar Park on the premise that it pays for itself?
Right.
And that, development in the city is just something that you do through incentivizing developers. If you started suggesting crazy things like taking out bond money to build emergency shelter capacity and funding municipal broadband through a 30-year loan, then it's that kind of gives up the ghost for what they say we need to do to bring the city back.
Right.
I don't know, just a thought.
You could be totally right, Bill. I actually think it just comes down to stupidity and boring people. It's think of it outside of the context of broadband, but a year ago, AI video, right, was Will Smith eating spaghetti like a fucking maniac. And then a year later, Hollywood is actually shook because Sora is out and nobody really knows where OpenAI is going to take that. But a year ago, nobody could really imagine that in only a calendar year, an entire industry was going to be put on notice that some real fucking shit is happening. Because as a whole, humans aren't good at thinking beyond what we know. Bring it back to your 290 story idea. Most people today couldn't really formulate an argument as to why that was a bad idea, because it's all they know. They've never been exposed to a Worcester that has a donut style highway encircling the city that drew traffic in, as opposed to bisecting a city and eliminating entire stable neighborhoods. That's all we know, so it has to be the right thing. We just have leaders that lack any sort of imagination whatsoever.
Yeah, that's always sort of been the case.
I honestly, Ruth, that opened up an idea, beyond just taking beyond taking a field trip down there. I think that this might be something to do, a documentary on, going to Chattanooga and finding out why it is better than Worcester and what it has that we don't.
Yeah, and I mean, so the way that I have it framed in the story, I think it would be a fantastic documentary to just look at Worcester, because we know it, but as an example of just mediocrity, what every podunk mediocre city is doing in the country, and then Chattanooga, like doing something actually markedly different and making an impact. I think that would be a fucking great documentary.
Yeah. Yeah.
And there's like a really strong news hook for it right now. Let me find the AP story where I got this data from. So, like, Chattanooga is a complete outlier across the country. 12% increase across the country. Dallas had a 3.8% decrease. Newark had 17. Houston had 17. No one is even near Chattanooga's numbers on this. So there's even like that sort of hook for an audience outside of Worcester. Like, what is this one city doing different that it's such an anomaly in the data?
Right.
And then, surprise, surprise, the answer is just the things that people say we should do, but reactionaries think is just not cruel enough. You know?
Yeah. Well, and just to highlight too, I mean, the percentages that you throw out, Bill, I mean, Dallas and Houston, we know that they have a governor that likes to brag about putting people on buses and sending them elsewhere. And New Jersey is suspected of putting people on buses and sending them to New York. So it's like, sure, I'm sure they had a decrease, but I'm also sure that Peter Pan saw a similar increase in ridership.
That's a really good point. Yeah, but I think that I would exploring the Chattanooga versus Worcester duality is really interesting because you know, we could do all sorts of like sort of different facets of it. Like, what is their political reality? Like, do they just have like a progressive controlled city hall? Or are they some sort of like weird actual conservatives, like remaining actual non-QAnon psycho conservatives that are like, we're spending too much money on the homelessness problem, let's actually fix it. I think there's so much there. So that's definitely something that I want to get up and running sooner than later. But like a half-hour documentary sort of deal, that'd be amazing. I'd love to do the interviews for that. And I think that the video would be really helpful because yeah, but it's like kind of in a red bubble, right? I mean, that's kind of the Worcester case too.
I mean, it's a college town in a lot of ways. It's you know, in Tennessee overall, especially Eastern Tennessee, kind of has very interesting politics because of like the history of unions and, you know,
yeah,
it makes it an interesting place. But I think Chattanooga, even more than the surrounding areas, is bluish.
Definitely. And, you know, they definitely saw that lean even harder in that direction when they rolled out their municipal broadband program, as it allowed for a lot of companies to snap up cheap real estate, but actually have the access that they would normally require a technical college or university nearby to make use of.
Oh, wow. I never even considered that angle.
There's a lot of companies and a lot of tech workers have been relocating since COVID kind of like wrapped up from the Miami area into Chattanooga because the cost of living is similarly low. And it's one of the few areas that I mean, it is a college town, so the resources are there, but it's not really the kind of college town that you would normally think of, like an MIT or a Caltech or whatever.
Right.
But the connectivity allows you to kind of get that much closer.
That's really cool. Yeah, I'm excited for this to put this piece up on Sunday. I'm kind of thinking that I might want to restructure it more around Chattanooga versus Worcester than the Supreme Court decision, because I think that's the more interesting part. But it's definitely something that kind of hurt my feelings, honestly, learning about it. Like learning about it last night, because like on their website, they have ending homelessness in Chattanooga. They have a page where they just say everything they do. And reading this page from a Worcester perspective is like just reading a lot of things that were voted down, you know?
Right. Yeah. It's not like they came up with ideas that we didn't have. It's not like they were smarter than us. They just did.
They just did them.
Yeah.
So like this one, and I have a riff about it in my piece. That's probably sort of shitty right now. It's in a rough state, but they allocated their ARPA funds to rapidly developing low barrier, high capacity temporary shelters, which will allow residents experiencing homelessness to find temporary shelter while being connected to services. In Worcester, we have this insane line where we talk about how we can't add temporary shelter capacity because permanent supportive housing is better.
Right.
Like as a response. And that's a really shitty and false either or sort of thing. It's like it's just they expect everyone in Worcester to be dumb enough to take the conceit that it's like, oh, of course, I know as much as the mayor. You can't build temporary shelters if you want to build permanent shelters. Everyone knows that, right? It's like
you have to choose, and it's a permanent choice.
You have to choose, and you also have to forget about it because all of our permanent housing that we outlined in 2018 hasn't come online yet for a variety of reasons. Yeah, they really just think that we're so fucking stupid. And, you know, for the most part, they're right. But like Chattanooga is just an example of like in the same plan, they have, you know, rapidly get up temporary shelter and actually build permanent supportive housing units.
Yeah.
Like, look at like this is another little detail that really fucking got to me. And I apologize if this is too much in the weeds, but they're talking about a deficit of permanent supportive housing units needed. Worcester has a deficit of emergency temporary shelter beds. And they won't even say that out fucking loud. Like right. That the city manager has never said that. Director of Health and Human Services, Matty Castile, was made to say that by Attell, but like Attell had to ask, I think, 3 questions for her to even say it. And that's crazy. I can't, this is the annoying thing about this, especially since I'm trying to paste stuff into the docs, is that I can't copy it.
Oh, I'll get it for you. I'll get it.
You have the magic?
Yeah, I can get it from the Twitch.
Oh, okay.
I'll put it in the private chat.
But yeah, I don't know, Brian, if you're motivated on the documentary idea.
Totally.
It'd be pretty sick. I'd love to work on a documentary.
I would I'd love to go down. I love that place. They got Steak and Shakes there, so I'm good.
What the hell is that?
I think we should. It's a great restaurant. They're kind of fun. Well, actually, Steak and Shakes is another great example of vulture capitalism destroying a once great institution. It's like a diner style restaurant that does like steak burgers, they call them, and then milkshakes, and it's different than Waffle House, but it's same kind of like late night vibes.
Okay.
And this guy named Baglari bought up the company and then just started fucking it up by making it part of his portfolio as opposed to the once great restaurant that it was. So still pretty good, but
classic story.
Classics. Everything is terrible. I was having a conversation. I was scouting at the Sun Chronicle in Attleboro. yesterday. Great people over there. A really, really incredible paper, and the guy that runs it is amazing. Such an amazing guy. They have a cool building, and we're just, he's like, hey, you guys can come film here whenever you want. We got nothing going on. Like, we don't have anybody working here really anymore. Almost nobody like is on site, and we were just got to talking about how tough it is for, and as we're talking, we're realizing that everything is like this now. Everything is just
Yeah.
worse every year because of money. Money
Yeah.
interests just fucking up every industry. And
Private
making it all
equity
terrible.
is just like the guy from There Will Be Blood, just with the milkshake. They just drink it up
all the way.
And it's all above board. It is not illegal.
It's legal, baby. Yeah. Yeah.
Like when I was on that San Francisco NPR interview or whatever, she asked me, like, what would a company that size want with Worcester Magazine? And I was just like, honestly, they just wanted to destroy it on purpose because you can make money by destroying newspapers. It's like, it's not any more complicated than that. Right. And just like dragging them along on life support.
It's so fucking crazy that is a business model, is just ripping things apart so they don't work anymore. I mean, it's everything. Everything is like that. Like every industry that you look at, every form of like art is now like that. Like everything is like that. For no good reason. Like, and maybe some of this stuff, like maybe it comes back around the other like end there, because something's going to pop back up. People are going to, the laws of nature dictate that a vacuum will be filled, but like they've hoarded so much that it's impossible. It's going to be impossible to break through or stay broken through. Like it's just more fodder for, Warren Buffett, the Warren Buffetts of the world.
Yeah. It's like the market and your real human beings are like totally separate narratives. And we don't we don't talk about like how the market is just ruining everything.
Right.
This is a super important thing to understand Worcester fully. A recent fact that broke my brain is that noted gangster Dodi Masad, that's how you say his name, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Was good personal friends with city manager Mike O'Brien. And Mike O'Brien was the first of 3 city managers, Eric Batista being the third, hired in the same exact way. And that way is like not even close to the way that they should be doing it. So I think that there's a lot to untangle here in how the city manager is hired and what the city manager is, and the council's relationship to the city manager. There's a lot to be understood there that they just straight up do not want you to understand, I think. So that's a constant progress. People talk about charter change as being a way to fix that problem. And I think that it would be a useful exercise because there are some deep structural flaws to talk about. And like a charter change thing would be useful to talk about them, but it would be the same people that, corrupted Plan E style of government.
Right.
In the way that they did. And they would just do the same thing to any other system. It would just look a little different. So I'm kind of agnostic on changing the structure of government or a charter change, but I think it would get people participated and involved and like enthusiastic about a change happening, which is
that is a good point, that even just a change might be necessary just to reset things in a way.
Right. Because like as much as you point out that they're doing Plan E wrong, you're still just some fucking guy pointing out that they're doing Plan E wrong.
Right.
Like that doesn't really track. Like people don't like really care. It's a, I don't know. That's a hard thing to make compelling. But you know, forcing the issue of should we change the system and getting people to like come to the issue that way would be an easier way in for people to get involved. Yeah, this is an interesting point. I mean, we saw it in the last election. The chamber showed that it's perfectly capable of throwing big money into a race if it needs to. And we sort of tested that safeguard that they have built into the system and got fucked by it, frankly.
Mhm.
So that kind of renders that argument a little moot.
At least in the way of like we have to come up with a either radically different approach or work so much harder than any of us were like capable of doing this or reckoned with this time around. I think that like you'd have to just you'd have to really change the strategy as far to overcome that, because they just have such a built-in advantage, even when it's supposedly like set up to take away their advantage. They have such a huge advantage in a place like Worcester because of momentum.
Right.
Yeah.
So you know,
and like the depressing fact is that I have no idea how we could replicate or counter the Marine Binyenda thing. Like that is
right.
That just feels Sisyphean to the fact that she could just come in and be a name and not really campaign that hard and really have no set of like, I don't know.
I'm sorry, the previous two comments, I think like collectively kind of nail it, right? That you have to start with the reality that all of our systems of government are inherently designed to attract psychopaths. And that's elected or not. That's just the kind of person that's likely to seek power in our form of government. And then if you do take a healthy look at cities that have really popular mayors that aren't just popular because they're populist, but are popular because they're like getting lots of things done, eventually those people turn out to be like totally wildly corrupt as well too. Their corruption is directed towards doing some degree of social good. That makes people happy, right? It's like, I mean, Buddy Cianci will forever be the greatest example of that. Like the city of Providence loves the guy, but like you didn't want to cross him. Like you'd get disappeared, right? I mean, it's Mayor Menino like ran Boston with an iron fist, but like his vision for Boston just really happened to like match up with what the majority of the public dreamed for the city. At that moment in time, it's not an easy thing to fix, especially when, as you were saying, Bill, I mean, I think both you and Brian were saying, I mean, ultimately you're still dealing with the same talent pool. And ultimately that's been our biggest problem thus far, is getting our talent pool aligned with what like the general public actually wants, as opposed to just the general voting population.
Yeah. It's like, I don't know. Power is, you'd be very naive to be like Joe Petty's or Eric Batista is the most powerful man in Worcester. Like, right. There are much more powerful people than them that you have to sort of contend with. And like Marine Binyenda was like sort of a glimpse into that. Like she's just a product of like a certain power elite that just could run roughshod over our like wimpy little pathetic progressive insurgents, you know, and like we had to eat shit like that to see it for real. But like it's, I don't know, it's the conversation needs to change about just I don't fucking know, man. I really don't know. I
mean, what? But the thing, I mean, like it. That just gets back to the thing that we talked about, like when on election night, so much is that like so many of the things that would actually make a huge difference are small in like as far as they're well known, and they're also not things that just us in the city can do. Like you have to figure out a way to get more people to vote. and there's 1,000 reasons why people don't vote in larger numbers, and some of those have to do with the fact that from the national level on down, no one's interested in getting everybody to vote.
Right.
Like
Right.
that doesn't serve any of the power brokers or whatever. So there's no way. Like, what are we gonna do? Like, even if we got like the city of Worcester to declare every election day a holiday, what does that mean? You know, like no,
Yeah.
like people are still gonna have to work. Like you can't. It's just there are huge structural things in this country that prevent like things from changing. Everything's designed to go in a direction and keep rolling, and that's part of the reason why like seeing this stuff with Chattanooga like feels so like on one hand hopeful, on the other hand so heartbreaking, because it took just a singular political will of somebody taking a chance on something and just doing it and seeing the opportunity, like having the ARPA money to spend on that and just putting it towards that and going for it. But also, I don't know about you guys, but seeing or thinking that what's coming for them down the road is not even from necessarily their constituents, but just from the system, is backlash and undoing, and then political ruination for all of the people that did it. And that like
that's true thought.
but I mean, I hope that's not true, and there's no reason to like think that it couldn't be different. That's like, if it's working, it's what everyone says they want. It worked. But I also think that the idea that would happen would also stop every single fucking person that in Worcester that could do something about it from doing anything about it, because they're more politically inclined than civically inclined.
Right. That's a good
Great
point.
question.
Andy. I'm definitely checking that in the doc. Yeah, I just think that there's such a it's like I've been really juiced up on digging into Chattanooga as like a way to not be constantly miserable about like just nothing changing in Worcester, but also it's just so much more useful to like do the back and forth between a place that's doing cool shit and a place that could be doing cool shit if there was a political will.
Right.
Then just like being like Kate Toomey sucks, like, I'm just fucking
right.
No, it's fun to do on the stream, but in the newsletter, it's not fun to just like keep being like, how are these people in power? Because it's like they are.
Right. It doesn't, but it also just saying that over and over again doesn't really get us to like again, like Kate Toomey doesn't fucking do anything on her own. She doesn't think for herself. She doesn't do any of that shit. The people that use Kate's position are very happy for us to be saying fuck Kate all the time, because if that's all we do, then nothing, like we're not doing anything about what she does,
Yeah.
So I agree that it's it's good for us to do, and it's fun, but I will certainly hope that people don't think that's the only thing that we're about.
No,
it's just really easy to do, so it's like
and it's like
batting practice. Yeah.
And like honestly, the whole premise of this stream is built on like you have to have a certain levity about this to get through it, otherwise you're just going to go crazy. So it's like it's fun to crack jokes about these people, but thinking about what it would take to get them out of power is like a depressing thought for sure. I mean, and it's so few people, like 1,000 voters would have changed the outcome of the city council race dramatically.
Right.
Like
and
there
again,
would be a 6 progressive majority.
We have 200,000 people in the city. 1,000 is nothing. But what do you do? Like, what do you do to get that extra 1,000? And I think like That is definitely
Yeah.
something that like we need to think about, because it's not like people don't organize in this city. It's not like people don't, like, very smart people don't do everything they can to get votes out there. So what is it that's not happening? What is it that like stops people from doing it? Like
it's
you
a
can
hard
just
thing
up
to
a
identify.
minuscule amount more of people from doing it.
Bill, just to add to your list, it looks like historically Chattanooga's voter turnout is 20%, so not far off from Worcester. And
Fuck off, dude. That's so frustrating.
and it
That's
rockets,
so annoying.
it rockets up to 70% in presidential cycles. So yeah, it's just basically Worcester. And like,
Wow.
even though they have a strong mayor system, their current mayor, who's been behind a lot of these efforts, he identifies as an independent, so he doesn't run on party affiliation. So there's another. I mean, I know ours is a little bit more abstract in that we run nonpartisan elections, but there's another similarity on that front as well.
Wait, say that last part again.
Oh, so the mayor down there, who's been behind a lot of this, he
Yeah.
runs as an independent, which is also similar to Worcester in the sense that we run nonpartisan
Oh, okay.
elections
Yeah,
up
yeah,
here.
yeah.
He could be running as a Democrat or a Republican, but
Right. It'd be cool if he ran as an independent, but he's just like a Maoist. Like a complete tanky.
Ruthos
but
just gave me a great idea, though. That's like, you keep a series on Chattanooga going. I'll go and get my real estate license in Tennessee, and we'll set up a pipeline of just like shuttling people from Worcester to Chattanooga. As that can be our pitch to them. We'll repopulate Chattanooga with Worcesterites who want.
Oh my God! Yeah, we take over a neighborhood and just name it Worcester 2.
Yeah.
We just relocate everyone who's good from Worcester to Chattanooga, Tennessee. That'd be awesome.
I'm telling you guys, it's fucking beautiful there. They have like, there's a big river that like bisects the town, and there's like all these beautiful bridges. There's a crazy art museum. There's like an aquarium there. Like, dude, the place is like, you like would want to move there.
Okay, putting the idea in the doc so we make it happen. Yeah, we'll just like find some underdeveloped like warehouse in the city and just convert it into the Worcester Exile, Worcester Exile property. Free rent if you're from Worcester. Yeah, that'd be an awesome idea. I mean, I'm curious. There's just so many things about comparing Chattanooga to Worcester that are so interesting. The fact that they have the same voter turnout is, I think, that leads me down a path of inquiry where we might have to just concede that people there are fundamentally better and smarter innately than people in Worcester. And like, that might be the conclusion that we end up having to settle on. But I mean, that's probably not the case. People are people everywhere.
Yeah, that's true. I heard a song about that.
People are strange when you're a stranger. Yeah. I don't know. I don't have anything else to talk about. And I think this went pretty well. I accomplished everything that I wanted to accomplish with this. I think this is actually really interesting and cool to do on Twitch. I didn't know how this was going to go, but electioneering. Wow, the sinister cabal proposes some outright electioneering. That's crazy.
Yeah.
I would love that. That would be so sick. It'd be like, hey guys, can you just come like help us out?
You can register to vote in Massachusetts the day you move here. So
okay, well, we need everybody in this chat to build an ADU on their property or somebody they know, and only rent it out to people from Chattanooga.
Dildo house everywhere, baby.
Yeah. It's a shame we couldn't get the call-in line going. I think that would be useful.
Next time we'll
in the
have it. I
future.
think I got it. I think I got it straightened out. It's just that people were burned by hearing that voicemail. So next time we'll get it
Right.
going. We'll get Eric Stratton a call again next time. He's having Wi-Fi issues too, so I
Yeah.
think he had to bounce. But yeah, we'll get the call line going. People can chat with us, and maybe we'll just try. We can test it during regular meetings too.
Yeah.
So with that, we got it going. But
Yeah, we'll do a dry run.
yeah, this turned
Yeah.
out, I think.
This was cool. So the idea for this is that I'm gonna do these monthly, hopefully, in person and on Twitch. I don't think that it would be good to do it in person and on Twitch at the same time.
Probably not.
I think that'd be a little unwieldy. But we are going to try to do the book club in person and on Twitch at the same time, I think, for now. So we'll try to figure that out. That's the fun part about Twitch. You can just do whatever you want. Sorry, what was that, Brendan?
I said it just frees up more bandwidth for Brian and I to play Fortnite together.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I'm all about that now. So I was hoping to get Super Shredder, but it's not going to happen.
Yeah, Ruth, you did contribute. That don't say sorry about the no ideas. It's a group effort.
No, Ruth, you were incredible tonight. I think you got us to the idea of doing the documentary, which is I think is we could win a damn Oscar on this shit. We're funnier than Michael Moore.
Yeah. I mean, it's not hard, but like, yeah.
Yeah. We're more confrontational than him.
Fucking A. This was cool. This one even maybe a little better than the in-person one, but they're two different experiences. So I think it's cool. I just think it's cool to like have this sort of framework to talk shop instead of doing like a podcast format or whatever. More participation. Participation's good. We'll be talking next at the city council in 2 weeks.
For the next 2 weeks, yeah. All right. So Sundays, follow Worcester Community Council to get info.
Sundays at
those meetings. Yeah.
Sunday at the Village. What time is it? Well, you just follow them and you'll get it. Cool. So one more plug for the book club. If you haven't signed up for the book club, pop your email in this form. We got a lot of people in there already, which is great. We're reading 8 Hours for What We Will, which is crucial reading for Worcester. And I'm so psyched to introduce this book to a bunch more people. That's going to be really cool.
Hell yeah. Yeah, let's take it home. Thank you, everybody. Thank you for hanging out with us tonight. This is really incredible. Make sure that you are following us here, WCT 3000 on that one. Let me find the overlays. For that, make sure that you're subscribed at worcestersucks.email, of course, for all of your Bill Shaner needs. There's a here's a go. WCT 3000 worcestersucks.email at Worcester_sucks. Worcester Community Media Fund has a Patreon.
Yes, Rewind, patreon.com/rewind video is the place to go to support the foundation and the video store. Yes. I should definitely make an overlay for that.
Yeah, we'll throw one up for the next one.
Yeah. I'll ask Travis to do that. That would be useful.
Brennan, you got anything?
I got nothing.
You got lots. Subscribe to us here, guys. We're at 49 subscribers.
That's awesome.
We are one away from a flat 50, which is very exciting. So get your subscriptions going. You still have time to buy my vote. for the presidential primary. So most gifted subscriptions from the first of the year. I believe it's between Maine South Mom and Jessica Stamps and Squeebo Arts. So that's a 3-way race right now. I'm not saying that you need to get out ahead of them, but if you wanted to, you can again buy my vote. I'll vote for anybody except for the 2 people that are actually running for president. Follow Woot and Andy Comedy. We have a show tomorrow night at Ralph's at 8 p.m. ish. Because it's Ralph's, it probably won't start on time because they won't open the doors for us until the very last moment. But it's called Fresh Hot Faces. We have 2 incredible comedians that we love. Will Smalley, Josh Stokes he's coming up from New York. We love him. And some newer comedians you might not have seen before, but we love very, very funny people. Brandon Pyers, Zoe Goodman, Nate Hilly. So that's going to be an incredible show. If you follow Woot and Andy Comedy, the ticket link is in our bio. You can also buy them at the door if you feel like doing that as well. But follow us anyways because we are cool. We're cool guys. We're a bunch of cool guys. So thanks everybody for joining. Make sure that you're signed up for the book club. As Bill mentioned before, we're gonna have a lot of fun with that. So thank you all, everybody. We will there's no city council meeting on Tuesday once again, cowards. But we're gonna do something. We'll be on. So come hang out with us. Me and Brendan will play Fortnite and then we'll figure out what to talk about. So
maybe a guest. We'll see.
Yeah, we could have a guest. So we will see you next Tuesday, everybody. We love you. Good night. Have a wonderful night.
Have a great weekend.
Bye.
Bye.